This is the 2022/2023 Honda Civic, the 11th generation. This particular model comes in a GN blue with jet black interior. And one of the things about this particular model today is that it is the EX trim level. I'm going to show you what you can expect to find if this is the trim level you want to buy. I borrowed this model from my friends at Holmes Honda here in Shreveport, Louisiana. For the price that you've just seen on the screen, this is what you're going to get. Obviously, there's a lot of multiple colors available. Tell me down in the comments section, what exterior color do you prefer on the Honda Civic? So, what do you get here? LED daytime running lights. So you've got a nice large blinker right here so that when you're driving down the road, you can let people know what you're doing, front and rear. That's always a good thing. That's why you want to use your blinkers. Not only because it helps people around you to know what you're doing, but you look cool because they look so nice. LED headlights as well. And you will find Honda sensing here. So you're going to have adaptive cruise control, road departure mitigation, lane keeping assist, and your blind spot monitoring that you'll find here with these power adjustable and heated but manually folding side view mirrors. Now you're not going to find the turn signal indicator built in here on this particular trim level. I know a lot of you like to know about that, but what you will find here, it's right there on the remote. Remote start, a good thing. Tire and wheel size come in at 215/50, wrapped around 17-inch wheels. So we're going to have the 215 on the width, 50 on the sidewall right here. These models do have a fairly smooth ride, a really good ride to be exact. So that's obviously a good thing. Here on the rear, you're going to have the LED tail lights as well, your Civic badge, the Honda badge, and then just an overall nice look back here. Now you won't have any exhaust coming out from under the rear right here as far as finishers go, although you can see the tailpipes right there on each side coming out kind of towards the bottom, but not from the rear of the bumper. That really cleans things up in a way and just makes things look a little better back here. Body color on the shark fin antenna up there. And then as far as your cargo capacity goes, you're looking at 14.4 to 14.8 cubic feet. And we'll just do one side here, but you can pull that release and that allows you to go right here and maximize cargo space. Obviously you can do this on each side, folding that down, and that allows you to have a little bit of additional space compared to what you would have otherwise. And good news, no tire repair kits here. You do have a spare tire and all of the tools necessary to change that tire, as well as your funnel right there if you happen to run out of gas with that 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that's under the hood. Speaking of that, let's talk about the numbers for that particular engine option. One thing you won't find here is the hydraulic hood struts, but for once I'm actually happy about that. And why is that? Because you have two different options for raising the hood and how wide the opening is. So you have the typical area right here where most people would place this manual prop rod, or you have the vehicle visionary port right here, so we can open the hood a lot wider to show you what's actually here. Now is the turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder. It puts out 180 horsepower and 177 pounds-feet of torque, mated to that CVT continuously variable transmission like I said before. Now what about those all-important MPGs? We're looking at 33 highway, 42 city, or excuse me, let's back that up. 33 city and 42 highway, 36 combined. And according to Honda, with your 12.4 gallon gas tank right here, you should be using 2.8 gallons of gas per every 100 miles you drive. That's not bad at all. And on the EX trim level, here's what you're going to have as far as the interior goes. You could put a decent sized water bottle here or a blender bottle of protein powder if you want to take your Civic with your friends to the gym. Hey, that would work out pretty well. And soft touch material right here, that is a fairly soft armrest for the rear seat passengers. And then we'll hop on inside here with the jet black interior. Now you're going to notice you don't have air conditioning vents on the rear of the center console or any connectivity. It is the EX trim level. It is the base trim level. So not a big deal, but just something to be aware of. So you might say, well, I might want to step up to EXL or whatever and see what we get there. Here is the singular pocket on the rear seat. There's not one on the driver's side. Not sure why that is, Not necessarily a big deal. You won't be back here, most likely. Your passengers will. But here's something that they will be able to take advantage of as long as there's only 2 passengers back here. That is the fold-down armrest with the dual cup holders. And also, let's take a look here, basically a conventional size sunroof. It looks like it's a little bit larger than conventional size in some vehicles, but one way or another, that's what you have. Tell Honda down in the comments if you would rather see a panoramic sunroof at some point in the future for these Civics. And if you want a little bit more on the door bin size, well, you'll have to call shotgun because you do have a little bit more space here, not only for the blender bottle of protein powder, but the protein bars and the beef jerky can go right back here. And basically the same setup that we saw on the rear doors. You do have the gloss black trim right here and manually adjustable driver and passenger seats, but they are adjustable to help everybody find their comfort level as far as their seating position goes. More of that gloss black trim is going to continue its way here into the interior, and kind of hidden away are the air conditioning vents with the honeycomb design here that goes all the way across. So the only way you know where the air conditioning vents are either with the adjustments for positioning, or if you want to open or close those, that's where that is. And another one of these gloveless glove boxes. There's never a set of gloves in the glove boxes when I open them up, but there is a lot of space for gloves if you wanted to use that for such a thing. And if you're not a fan of push button shifters, good news. No push button shifter here. You have the conventional style shifter. And the thing about it, a lot of people, and even I've said it in my videos, the advantage to the push button shifter is that you don't have a shifter to reach around to get to the cup holders. But as you can see, Honda did a good job in designing the position of where that shifter is, although when it's back, it's a little bit further back, but if it's in park, well, it's easy to get across here. And even when it's in drive right here, that's still not too much to reach around, so not too bad. Now, you won't find wireless charging here, but you will find, yes, there is some connectivity here. You can use that, your USB port there, the 12-volt power outlet, and technically could run a longer USB to the back. And, well, you could help that problem with the passengers. You're going to have Econ mode, the auto stop-start feature. You can turn that off right there. Your power parking brake, brake hold mode, and then here is the armrest that doubles as the lid of the console, or maybe I should say that the other way around. But there we go with what we have. And you do have the removable tray that can go a couple of different places or can be left out altogether to make it easier to gain access to the center console storage area. And before we hop into the front seat, I want to show you something very important here. You might have noticed earlier how I just walked up and opened this gas door right here. You might say to yourself, I'm not comfortable with that. Well, here's the good news. When you lock the vehicle, it's locked. That's good. So now it's unlocked because I've unlocked the vehicle again. So we're good on that. If you were curious and thinking to yourself, well, that makes me kind of nervous. Don't be nervous anymore. Now you know. So here are the controls on the driver's side door panel. Controls for all 4 windows. You can lock the windows, lock and unlock doors, and controls for those heated power adjustable side view mirrors. One thing you'll notice that is not there are the child safety locks. You might say to yourself, well, shouldn't that be on there? Well, it is here, but you don't activate them on the driver's side door panel. You activate them on, you turn them on and off actually on the rear doors themselves. So you can hopefully see on the screen, you've got the down arrow and the lock right here. So when this is in the up position, they're not active. You want to turn on the child safety locks? You push them into that down position right there. So off, on, pretty simple. Just like a light switch, right? So now let's hop into the interior here and see what the driver will find. Let you hear the music that's going to greet you when you get into your Civic. And the digital instrument cluster, very nice, very modern looking. You can go and use your steering wheel mounted controls here. We'll go through a lot of information. I'm not going to show you everything or talk about it, but I'll show you what you have there. Here is your cruise control settings for adaptive cruise control. But let's go through, and obviously you can see who's wearing their seatbelt and who isn't. So it tells on your kids or whoever's riding in the back seat with you if that is the case. So we'll just run through a couple of things here real quick just to show you what's there so that it's very easy to know. We're not going to cover every single little detail, but just so you can see what you have. And over here, you're going to control the headlights right here. This is that turn signal lever that turns on that blinky thing I was showing you earlier out there. If you're turning to the right or changing lanes to the right, it goes into the up position. You can also hit the horn accidentally at the same time like I just did, or it goes into the down position, and that's when you're turning to the left or changing lanes to the left. Speaking of the horn, if you use your blinker, you're likely not to hear that horn when you're driving down the road because you're a good driver. And here are the controls for the control, I should say, for the windshield wipers. And then the infotainment screen. Pretty easy to figure out, pretty easy to use. A lot of settings you can go through right here. Now, you can pair your phone, but you will need a USB cable to do so, in case you are wondering about that. Here you have your dual zone climate control. You're going to have the heated seats in the front here for the driver and the passenger. Remember, EX trim level. Very nice as to what we have. And we'll go into reverse and I'll show you that multi-view rear view camera. Now, you notice the blinking on the screen. Don't worry, that's not going to be an issue. With the human eye, you won't see that. With the lens on my GoPro, you will see that. So you've got your multi-view camera right there. One of the best things, in my personal opinion, about this car is the fact that Honda retuned the chassis and the suspension. And even with this being the base model, it handles great. Let's get out on the road and talk a little bit more about that on our test drive. Okay, we're gonna get out here for our test drive, and I wanted to start out in this particular area so that you could hear what the road noise is like. Just for the heck of it, why not? We're on a fairly washboarded out road, and so it's gonna be a little louder than it would be otherwise, but I'm gonna let you just listen. We're in the rougher of the two lanes just to give you an idea. To be honest, it's not bad. And a lot of people might say, oh, you can't do that without a decibel meter. Here's reality on the decibel meter as far as the interior noise goes. The decibel meter is not a human being. It's not someone who's actually in the car and will say, well, that's good enough for me or not. So we don't worry about the decibel meter here because, well, in reality, it really doesn't do a whole lot except give you a number. On the scientific approach of it, sure, there's advantages to that. But in the grand scheme of reality, as far as what a human being thinks, well, there's going to be varying degrees of that, depending on what a person is used to, maybe what they've been driving, what they're stepping into with the Civic, that kind of thing. All of that factors in. Now, you might wonder about the 180 horsepower and say, is it enough? Well, it actually is. It really gives this car a good bit of pep to get down the road. It feels extremely sporty, and a lot of that comes from the fact that, well, the handling characteristics have obviously improved from one generation to another. It feels very well planted to the road. It feels stable. The steering is good and tight, not quite like a super high-performance sports car or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have the most twisty road to drive on, but we'll do the best we can with what we have here. The speed limit on this road is 55 miles an hour, so I can have a little bit of fun and a reasonable amount of speed. You don't really need a lot of input for this car to respond to the touch of your hand when it comes to actually steering it. It handles so well that, you know, for those who might say, well, I don't know if 180 horsepower is enough, or even 158 if you go with that 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder option. But I'll tell you what, when you get out on the road and you start driving this car, you begin to think to yourself, maybe it has more power than it does just because of how it feels. Plus, you're lower to the ground. The lower you are to the ground, the faster it seems you're going. So it's just the way it is. If you drive a large vehicle that's higher up, well, you often look down at the speedometer and think to yourself, wow, I didn't realize I was driving that fast. But we're coming up on the best corner on this road. So we're going to really see what happens here. I'm not going to put it through a really aggressive road test here, but just a little bit. We'll just see how it handles a little bit above the speed limit. So we're going into the corner. I'm going to accelerate all the way through and out of the corner. Wow, absolutely incredible experience there. Let me slow back down. That's pretty impressive. Very minimal body roll. The car stayed good and planted, had no trouble maintaining its line. And here's the thing, I'm not driving this car every single day. So I'm not as used to the steering as I might be otherwise. So to be able to take that corner as I did back there, that says a lot about how well this Civic handles and how easy it is to drive. So if you're having a bad day and you own this particular model of Civic and want to go out and have a spirited drive, it's not going to let you down, that's for sure. And now you know what you get for the price if you plan to buy a 2022 or 2023 Honda Civic EX. I gotta say a special thanks to my friends at Holmes Honda for loaning me this Civic for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.